Well, I did my Eastern Conference All-Star roster predictions, so here are my Western Conference All-Star predictions. Starting in the backcourt, Steph Curry of the Golden State Warriors. Steph Curry, he's somewhat like a superhero, or a demigod. Steph Curry is a superhero demigod, like Thor, only scrawnier, and instead of having a hammer, he combats evil. With flamethrowers he calls arms. Today's NBA isn't merely for Steph. It exists in part because of him. He's on track to break just about every offensive record imaginable and continues to rewrite the laws of efficiency. Never mind that he's slaughtering the NBA's PER record, or that he's racked up more win shares than the Lakers and Philadelphia 76ers have combined W's, or that he's averaging more than those win shares per 48 minutes than anyone else ever. Here's Steph's mastery in a nutshell. He's shooting roughly 45% from the three-point line. Only 21 teams are shooting worse than 45% overall. This is Curry's league, folks. He's just letting other people play in it. Joining him in the backcourt is Russell Westbrook of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Well, this should make James Harden feel a lot better. It's not Kobe Bryant who's blocking his entry into the starting lineup. That honor, assuming voters actually watch basketball from time to time, would fall to Oklahoma City's point man. Russell Westbrook is the best player in the NBA, not named Steph Curry right now. He's second in PER and offensive box plus minus and third in win shares. His net rating is higher than Durant's, and Basketball Reference's MVP award tracker has him listed as the second most likely winner, ahead of both Durant and LeBron, by a comfortable margin. Knowing this, does anyone really have to want to bet against Russell Westbrook snagging his fifth All-Star berth and first starting nod? Didn't think so. In the front court is Kobe Bryant of the Los Angeles Lakers. Kobe Bryant clearly doesn't deserve to be in the All-Star game at all, let alone as a starter. But within a voting system that caters to exceptions, the 37-year-old is in his own exception. Fans have elected Kobe as a starter in each of the last two All-Star games. Injuries left him out to participate on both occasions, and he is 3 seasons removed from his superstar-level production, but it doesn't matter. That's the ugly beauty of Kobe's brand. His popularity, his importance to fans all over the world, transcends his actual performance. Now on top of that, Kobe is playing out his swan song. The idea of him not being voted into the NBA's nationally televised pickup game is crazy. Supporters will want him in Toronto, on the floor of Air Canada Centre, for the opening tip. Many of his detractors, if only out of reluctant respect for his on-court accomplishments, will want him there too. Most importantly, the NBA as an entity wants him there. Kobe's inclusion will have a trickle-down effect, though, that displaces a deserving starter into the reserve ranks, and that deserving starter will in turn reject a fitting result into the snub correlation. Which under the circumstances is fine. All-star rodeos don't actually matter. There's a foreground for child's play and ego massaging. They don't have any value, impact the standings, or affect the playoff picture. No true injustice is born from Kobe suiting up alongside those he used to call peers. His participation is simply a harmless career achievement award, meant to honor the player who he once worth this exact kind of recognition. Joining Kobe in the front court is Kevin Durant of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Kevin Durant's PER is higher than it was back in his MVP season. It's also a career best right now. He is collecting more win shares per 48 minutes than he was then in his position to join the 50-40-90 club for the second time, a feat only accomplished by Larry Bird and Steve Nash. Undergoing 3 foot surgeries in 6 months last season hasn't even come close to slowing him down. Durant is the same being with the same unparalleled game, a center-sized wing with sharp handles and controlled explosion that he parlays into brain-bending production. And if for some reason this isn't enough to promise him a starting slot, which it is, KD should gain a lot more popularity from Toronto fans who are looking for an additional opportunity to shamelessly recruit him in free agency this summer. Joining Kobe and KD in the starting front court is Pelicans star Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis's NBA takeover tour is on hold. Injuries have hit the Pelicans hard, and the team hasn't perfected head coach Alvin Gentry's offense as planned. Davis has struggled at points next to the medley of mediocrity, and the Pelicans, owners of the NBA's worst defense, haven't found a way to escape the Western Conference abatement. Some toddler-faced assassin named Steph Curry is also raining threes all over Davis's should-be parade. The return of KD, killer instinct of Westbrook, and unending eliteness of LeBron aren't helping either. But for all of New Orleans' warts and his star sibling's success, Davis is playing magnificent basketball and rewriting a piece of history. In the likely event that his numbers stick, this will be the third time he hits 20 points, 10 boards, and 2.5 blocks per game, all before his 23rd birthday. No other player has ever done the same. Tim Duncan did it twice before turning 23, as did Shaq. But not a single soul has done what Davis is doing, and he's obliterating the history books amid an offensive facelift. More of his shots are coming outside of 16 feet than ever, and it's adversely affecting his field goal percentage. Despite this, he's performing like the top 5 superstar and eventual all-star starter that he is. The backcourt reserves of the West. James Harden of the Houston Rockets. James Harden was last season's MVP runner-up, but he settled down following a disastrous season. Harden's shooting percentages are still circling the drain, but he ranks second in scoring and inside the top 7 of PER and owns a better offensive box plus-minus, which gauges how much better the average offense would be per 100 possessions with a given player on the floor. Not even Houston's mess of a season could cloud those numbers. Joining him in the backcourt is Chris Paul of the Clippers. How would it feel to watch an All-Star game unfold without CP3, like it was in 2007? Paul only recently relinquished the best point guard crown to Curry and is still piloting one of the league's top 10 offenses. He's averaging less than 32 minutes per game for the first time, but his numbers are nonetheless absurd. This marks the 10th season in which he's averaged 16 points, 8 assists, 1.5 steals per game. Hall of Famers Magic Johnson and Isaiah Thomas are the only 2 other players to reach those statisticals 9 times. That is to say, this is a 2007. CP3 remains at the top of his game and is a shoo-in for alt-reserve duty. Now for the frontcourt reserves. Draymond Green of the Golden State Warriors. There's a list of who has averaged 13 points, 8 boards, 7 assists, and 1 block per game in the same season. Only Larry Bird and Draymond Green have done that. Wow. By no means will this vault Green pass Davis or Durant in the fan vote, but it's more than enough to get him in on the endorsement of coaches who value true all-stars. Blake Griffin of the Los Angeles Clippers joins them. 5 players this season are averaging 25 points per 36 minutes and assisting on 28% or more of their team's made shots when in the game. Blake Griffin is one of them. Steph, James Harden, LeBron James, and Russell Westbrook are the other 4. Really, let that sink in for a moment. Blake Griffin isn't even the primary ball handler for the Clippers, and yet he's averaging and breaking calculators with point guards and de facto point guards, James Harden and LeBron James, for example. That, my friends, is some potent versatility. Now that we should expect anything less from the 5-time All-Star, in just a few short years, Blake Griffin has gone from a novelty athlete being known for jumping over the car hoods of sedans to a well-rounded top 10 megastud with many more All-Star years left in the tank. Joining them is Kawhi Leonard of the San Antonio Spurs. League-leading defensive rating? Check. Top 5 PER? You bet. Most important player for the NBA's second-best team? Yep. If Leonard isn't an obvious choice to make the West Reserve cut, then no one is. Now, Dirk Nowitzki of the Dallas Mavericks. All these years later, the Mavericks offense remains tailored to Nowitzki. This should be a problem now that the 7-footer is 37 years old, and it is some to extent. Dallas's rank outside the top 10 of offensive efficiency and sees a stark drop in points scored per 100 possessions when Dirk rides the pine. Relying on someone so old is imperfect and dangerous. But on the flip side, Dirk is a rare senior citizen up to the task. He leads the Mavericks in scoring and is flirting with another 50-40-90 shooting slash. Is this real life? Apparently so, though some will justifiably have their doubts once the 18-year veteran participates in his 14th All-Star game.